Palestinian prisoners, but many Israeli families say the price for the swap deal is too high and the potential consequences too dangerous. CNN's Frederick Plygen has more on that story.
Gilad Shalit. More than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners for one Israeli soldier. While many are applauding the prisoner swap, others are outraged. Arnold Roth's daughter Malki was killed in a terror attack. Now, one of the women convicted for her participation in the plot is likely to be released as part of the Gilad Shalit deal.
Everyone wants to see Gilad Shalit safe and well and back home, but I think that there's a real failure to understand the price that's being paid. The price is phenomenal. We're releasing people who have dedicated their lives to killing Jews and Israelis.
In August 2001, a suicide bomber blew himself up in a Sbarro's pizza parlor in downtown Jerusalem, killing 15 people. Many family members of the victims of this and other terror attacks on Israelis oppose the exchange for Gilad Shalit. Almost 300 prisoners serving life sentences will be released from detention centers. One man who lost 5 relatives in the Sbarro bombing even desecrated the Yitzhak Rabin Memorial in Tel Aviv. This is the site of the Sbarro bombing, and of course, even 10 years later, for many of the victims' families, the wounds have not yet healed. But for Israel, there's more at stake here, a larger security concern. Could those that they're releasing now perpetrate other acts of violence in the future, and could it embolden extremist groups to try and capture additional Israeli soldiers? Some Israeli politicians say these concerns made it impossible for them to approve the deal.
Voting for such an agreement will be a tremendous encouragement for future terror. In the Middle East, it will be perceived as a move that simply says that terror pays off.
Still, Israel's prime minister insists there was no other choice. It is very possible that this window of opportunity that opened because of the circumstances would have closed indefinitely, Netanyahu said, and we would never have been able to bring Gilad home at all. An argument Arnold Roth says he cannot buy into. And while Israel gets ready to welcome Gilad Shalit home, many here fear the consequences the deal for his release might have in the future. Fred Pleitgen, CNN, Jerusalem.
Revolutionary fighters in Libya say they have taken control of Bani Walid, one of the last remaining cities which was under the control of fighters loyal to former Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. Interim government soldiers say they have swept through much of Bani Walid and have focused attention to the city's airport. They are also reporting the capture of at least 20 pro-Gaddafi fighters. And in Colonel Gaddafi's birthplace, an intense battle continues to rage there, with rebel fighters trying to consolidate their gains. CNN's Dan Rivers is there and reports any sudden movement can result in a burst of gunfire.
The front line hasn't moved much for days now, but that doesn't make it any less dangerous. This is the safest way to get around here. Snipers have been picking off NTC soldiers every day. They have plenty of ammunition, just not much discipline when they use it. One Gaddafi sniper can keep a dozen NTC troops pinned down for hours. But the revolutionaries have their own sharpshooters. Patiently they wait on rooftops until they see movement, and then the inevitable. Away from the fighting, the city is deserted, abandoned like the livestock which roam these once busy neighborhoods. Almost every building is pockmarked with bullet holes. Some are utterly destroyed.
Sirte used to be a city of some 100,000 people, but now it's difficult to find just one. The handful that we have encountered have been here just to salvage a few more possessions from the wrecks of their homes, and all the while the fighting is continuing.
It's why few have made the dangerous journey here to collect belongings. This man and his wife grab a carpet and some cushions to make their night in a tent more comfortable. They hurry as a NATO jet circles overhead. Others come to look at what remains of their homes. This man and his mother get what they can. He doesn't want to be interviewed, but is beside himself with worry. He said he paid $20,000 for this apartment, and now look at it. One man does talk anonymously.
I am not with Gaddafi. I am not with the other side. I am a man of peace.
It's clear these people are worried the National Transitional Council will view them as pro-Gaddafi simply because they haven't taken up arms. But outside we find a flyer from Gaddafi's regime warning residents to resist the sedition of the rebels for the safety of their families and children. It sounds like a veiled threat. That all-pervasive fear was stoked to perfection by Muammar Gaddafi's regime for more than 42 years, and it still hangs in the air here, even though Gaddafi no longer rules these shattered streets. Dan Rivers, CNN, Sirte, Libya.
Time now to take another break. We'll be right back, so please stay tuned in. We'll take a quick look at the weather report, courtesy of the Central Forecast Office.
The Gambia is endowed with a wonderful landscape full of baobab trees. Like its Cape Point in Bakau, it is one of the most exotic sceneries in the world. The baobab tree is a symbol of resilience, wisdom, and resourcefulness. For the baobab tree provides good food in times of hunger, rents its bark for medications, and its sap for glue. In the Gambia, there is a company like the baobab tree, 100% African and purely Gambian in all aspects. In know-how, design, value, capital, and management. That company is Elton. Elton, employing hundreds of Gambians and proudly associating itself with development in the Gambia. Elton, side by side with the Gambia.
Good evening and welcome to the weather segment. As usual, we begin with a recap of our weather during the last 24 hours, followed by our forecast. The last 24 hours were mainly characterized by warm and humid conditions and rain-affected parts of the country. The figures recorded as follows. Sibano recorded 16.9 millimeters and Yundum 7 millimeters. For what next? Let's start with a look at the satellite image captured at 16:30 hours, indicating the presence of scattered convections over parts of Western Africa, becoming more intense over the central and the eastern part of the continent. North and Southern Africa were generally dry and stable during the period. For our forecast, tonight we're expecting a warm, humid and partly cloudy atmosphere across the Gambia. The day tomorrow also be warm, humid and partly cloudy. Winds will be westerly in orientation but generally light to moderate in speed. Morning temperature values are expected to be 22 degrees Celsius over Banjul, Yundum and Kerawan. We are expecting 21 degrees Celsius over Sibano and Genoy. The rest of the country will be 20 degrees Celsius. Temperatures are really going down these days. Maximum temperature values will be 32 degrees Celsius over Banjul. We are expecting 33 degrees Celsius over Yundum and Kerawan. Sibano, Genoy will record 34 degrees Celsius. Kaur, Sapo, Yenyambure, 35 degrees Celsius. Basse and Fototo will be 37 degrees Celsius warm tomorrow afternoon. Low tides will be 0.55 meters at 7:20 a.m. Also 0.55 meters are expected at 7:23 p.m. High tides will be 1.53 meters at 12:47 a.m. and 1.31 meters at 1 minute past 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Wave heights will be between 1 to 2 meters and will be mainly southeasterly swells. The sun will rise at 4 minutes to 7 and the will set at 14 minutes to 1900 hours. With that, let's have a quick check at the international forecast and do have a very good night.